it took me, I ain't gonna hold y'all, took me like a third to half of the book to be like, oh, this is written in like the 70s. What up, Search fam? Sharde here. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new, my name is Sharde. I'm out here curating and co-creating a cool ass life and telling you about the books I read in the month of March. I hope y'all are doing well. I feel like I look better than I feel because the kid been down with a chest cold for the last week. But praise the Lord, we're better today than on yesterday. Halle. Anyway, whether this is your first time on my little corner of the internet or you keep coming back, please consider joining my internet family. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so you're made aware of every time I post a new video, which is on the weekend, usually on Saturday. But I'm not gonna hold y'all too long because I'm still on the mend. So I'm gonna do this and get it up, and I'm probably gonna go lay down. I'm not even gonna hold y'all. How y'all doing? Spring is kicking my butt. Spring is kicking my butt, friends. Y'all already know how this goes. I got a stack of trophies here for the physical books. We'll do those first, and then you see me looking at the iPad with my story graph on it. According to Storygraph, I read 15 books in the month of March. Maybe that sounds correct. I don't know. Y'all know I've been struggling with reading. Like the desire to read, all the things. But here we are. So we'll talk about these good old physical trophies first. I am happy this month with my reading because I read more straight up literary books, which and some classics, which is making me happy. I want to continue reading classics throughout the year so that I can make myself more abreast of stuff that I've heard of but have not read, or I have read but it's been a long time and I should read it again as like a fully formed human being, you know. At any rate, so for some of my physical books, I did read them somewhat immersively or in audiobook, mostly. So that's the thing as well. But they still trophies because I had physical copies in my possession. We do this all the time at Grandma's house. I finally read The Salt Eaters. I'm really happy with myself. I read it as an audiobook this time and somewhat immersive read it at parts. Now, I read the first third of The Salt Eaters before. I probably bought this copy when I was in graduate school and I read part of it. Now, this is an interesting story because it's about, and I don't know if I read it to you when I talked about my spring TBR, but The Salt Eaters is about a community, a fictional community in Claiborne. It's a southern city, and it's in the 70s, and I don't think that clicked for me. Like, I knew it was a period piece, but not that recent, right? And I'm a millennial, so I think of the 70s as not that far away. It's not that far away from like when I was born, right? But so it took me, I ain't gonna hold y'all, took me like a third to half of the book to be like, oh, this is written in like the 70s. But anyway, so it's about a community, a Black community in the South that is discovering the healing properties of salt. But there's so much going on. There's a lot of characters. And I think at times I got lost with who was talking, the number of characters, what was going on. There's a lot of things. But like, there's so much wisdom in this book. And that was the thing that really struck me. That was the thing that really stuck with me from my read, and the ways in which it incorporated various parts of like African derived religions, as well as like some Black Christian practice, the conjure, all that stuff. I thought it was good, although I probably need to read it again with a few more spoons at my disposal so that I can really appreciate the character development and the conversations. The beginning of the book starts with the phrase, "Sweetheart, do you want to be well?" And y'all know that had me shook. But the other one, it's two quotes. One is, "Choose your cure, sweetheart. Decide what you want to do with wholeness. And then the source of health is never outside, sweetheart. What will you do when you are well?" Child, dragging me by my inside heartstrings, okay? The idea of like madness and stress and trying to find oneself and having people, elders, including deceased elders, ask you, what does it mean for you to actually be well, and do you want it? Why do you fight it so hard? Oh my God. Woo, child. Woo, highlight. Anyway, so second book I read, classic that I read this month is Giovanni's Room. And I read Giovanni's Room to audiobook and then sort of immersive read parts of it. So like I could underline my physical copy. Giovanni's Room is set in 1950s Paris, and it is about this young man in his 20s who is engaged to another American who's living abroad, and they're traveling, especially his fiance. She gone to Spain to go live her life and see what she could see. And he develops these feelings for this young barkeep who's fine. He's fine and charming and Italian, named Giovanni. And it is the really gut-wrenching and sad story of like trying to negotiate sexuality and desire amidst proper performances of those things. And it is really sad, but gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Uncle James, man, don't be missing. I enjoyed that one so much, but it also had me go, damn, that's sad. I also finally read, I started in physical copy because I had an arc that I had been sitting on for well over a year. And, but I read it also on audiobook, finished it on audiobook, The Blueprint by Regina Rashad. This is a dystopian novel, set in Texas and Louisiana. And it's very, like, people say it's a cross between Butler and Atwood's Handmaid's Tale. Sure. But it is about Black women who are considered daughters of enslavement, and they become the wives and concubines and property of military and government officials. And so Solin is the property of this like high-ranking government official. He's supposed to be next in line to like take over leadership or whatever. He's like hotshot, on the rise, all of this. And it's her negotiating that against the backdrop, like dual timeline of one of her descendant or her ancestors who ran away from slavery. And so she too was trying to figure out how to escape her current conditions by getting to Louisiana. And like, but also the lengths that the man goes to get and keep her. Ooh, child. It was good. It was really good, but also it was it hits you like in the gut. And also, it's not unrealistic, which is, you know, how some, I think the Butlery part of it, like, is that this is not necessarily unrealistic, and the way the government is going now, who knows. I told you I was gonna read this. It was hysterical. I got abducted by aliens and now I'm trapped in a rom-com. Kimberly, Lemming, girl, you okay? Because this was so funny and unhinged. Like, I was not expecting it to be this ridiculous, but sometimes you need a little ridiculousness in your life. So this is about Dory, who is a wildlife biologist. She's a PhD student, and she's out researching meerkats, which is hysterical because she names them. She talks about them getting in fights. It's hilarious. And she gets caught in an abduction, like an alien abduction, her and a lion, because she gets attacked by a lion. And so she ends up a part of this space procreation project that dropped on this planet, but come find out they created the planet to repopulate it with this species, and they've been there for like 10 years. But so they're bringing humans on, and they're trying to accommodate human life, but where they get their information is deeply questionable because it's not habitable for humans, because there's like dinosaurs. And Dory, as a wildlife biologist, is like, what are these creatures? And you find this out that they got this from like museums. So they done got these fossils and stuff, and they reanimated them as dinosaurs and shit. And then she gets matched to these two aliens that are same species, different subspecies. Like they don't necessarily like each other. And come find out, one is a lawyer, like very surly, very grumpy, and the other one, who's like big, burly, and always like making fun of things, is like a war general. Who decided, child, I'm not doing this whole war thing on another planet. Y'all can kiss my ass. This shit was so funny. I read this with Key, and so we were like, I messaging each other while we were reading, like, girl. Yeah, so it's another one. Like, it's not my favorite of Kimberly Lemming's writings, but it really was, especially when I think back on it. It was absolutely deranged, and that was what made it good. Like, I just cackled so much to myself. It was great. I also finally read James by Percival Everette, and she a library book, so I gotta take her back to the library. And James was so good. It took me longer to read, like, not because it wasn't good, well written, or kind of riveting, but there was something about it that made me take it slower. Not even that the story was paced slow, but there was something in the energy of the storytelling that made me slow down while I read it, and it took me a little longer than usual. But again, James is the story of Jim, who's a slave, the reimagining of Huckleberry Finn, told from Jim's perspective. And the way it talks about race, and the way Percival Everette uses humor, especially, my favorite part is that in this, slaves have much better language and diction than white people, and they use white people vernacular, broken English, even worse. They come up with a slave dialect to not alarm the white people. And like Jim can read it right, and he's reading like Voltaire and things. And it was so good. If you're into If you want to get into classics, like, do I think this is a replacement for reading Huckleberry Finn? No, but I think this might give you a more palatable experience with classics because it is easy to read. So I purchased this when I went to New York to visit my friend Jackie for a concert. And it is Imagination, a Manifesto by Ruha Benjamin. And it was good. I was reading it because of like my sort of general interest in imagination and Black radicalism and all the things. And it helped me, like, it wasn't as academically rigorous as I was wanting. But I thought it was good. I thought it was thought-provoking of the various ways in which we are thwarted in imagination and how that keeps us from engaging with systems of various types of systems of domination, and how we have to continue to think of alternative ways of addressing these ills, because that's really what's going to get us disengaged from, you know, some of these systems. So I thought it was good. Will I pick it up again? Probably not. But I made some notes in here that might be helpful to my research. Finally, I finished Black AF History. And I read this one both physically and audiobook. I pretty much read over half of the book audiobook, which was great because it's read by Michael Harriot, and Michael Harriot is funny as heck. And so it the subtitle of it is The Unwhitewashed History of the United States, and it tells parts of history that a lot of people don't get or know. And I even found that there was plenty in the book that I didn't know about, right? And I love history and I read history and I've been studying it for a while, and it comes up in my research, all things. And so it was really good. It was fantastic. So I suggest reading it. I especially would suggest reading the audiobook because it is entertaining and a little bit more easy to digest. Okay, good. Other audiobooks that I read this month or last month are Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson. And it was alright. It was different than I thought it was going to be. It's about this young woman who goes to settle her deceased father's estate with her brother. And she's writing her dissertation. And she has a fraught relationship with her father. But she is the oldest sibling. So she's got to, you know, settle up things and like pack the house up and get ready to sell it and all the things. And her dissertation work is on serial killers, on a specific serial killer. I kind of forget. This was beginning of the month. And her neighbor is real cute, real hot, but she thinks he might be a serial killer. He's not, though. He's very sweet. And so they go through the things of like seeing each other and like figuring out how to navigate a relationship, especially for her when she is going to be going back to North Carolina to finish her dissertation and all this thing, and she's struggling with writing and all things. It was all right. I want to read it again. I also read Unexpected Stories by Octavia Butler. And these were 2 posthumously published short stories that Butler wrote. And honestly, I'm going to have to read them again because I don't remember. And not because they weren't good, but because I think I fell asleep during part of 1. And like, yeah. So I finished them, and then I read other things because this too was like at the beginning of the month, and sometimes you forget what you read. So I gotta go back and do it again. Gotta start the song over. The digital books that I read in the month of March are One Blood Oath by Morgan B. Lee, which is like the first book in the Cursed Legacies series. This is dark romance, dark academia, why choose, where this young lady who Maven ends up at this super secret, not super secret, but like super high ranking academy for monsters, because monsters, like, in keeping their relationship with humans, are keeping peace, them safe from other monsters and things. And she's don't want to be there. And she's trying to do something, but we don't know what she's trying to do. Very secretive. And all of the people go to end up in these romantic partnerships. Like, it's a 5 people. And she there, she late or whatever. She get there for the thing, and she doesn't have any powers. And so she gets there and ends up being fated mate to 4 of the most desired guys in the schoolhouse. And so now she got target on her back because all the girls hate her. And she don't want them. As a matter of fact, she's working very hard to get these guys to reject her by rejecting them, so that they could get a new 5th person, like whoever the center of their little swingquets. I don't know, child. To get them to petition the goddess for somebody else. She said, get somebody else to do it.
Get somebody else to do it.
And they like, no, we're not gonna do that. So they start pursuing her ass real hard. And she's just like, I don't like y'all. I don't want y'all. Get out my face. And so that's the first book. At the end of the first book, it's like starting to come out why she's there. So I'm gonna read the second book because I'm intrigued. Now, I read Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, and whoever said it was like House Moving Castle was absolutely correct, but different. It was so lovely. I just enjoyed it so much. This is another one of those books where it's like, oh, I kind of wish I could read it again for the first time. It is about Dora, who is pretty much cursed by a fae who bought her from her mama. And her mama decides, I'm going to hide my kid because this was a bad idea. Mama dies. So the fae lord, who's real crazy, comes to collect her and tries to take her soul. But Dora's cousin, who really is a sweet being, real MVP, she thwarts the mission. And so Dora now only has half a soul, which means she doesn't emote like people want her to. It's giving very neurodivergent coded. And so she ends up meeting this surly, rude ass magician. Yeah, sorcerer. And they are trying to figure out why children are becoming husks of themselves and why they're going missing. And like, there's a sickness, all the things, while they trying to marry off Dora's beautiful cousin. It was very sweet, very good. I enjoyed it very much. So I read the second trilogy in the Cruel Shifterverse series by Jasmine Mas. Ciao. These books be running my nerves. This is one of my friend Jackie's book camp picks. And when I tell you I cussed her out, I cussed her out from here to yonder. I started the books when I went to New York so that I could sit on her couch and read the first one and cuss her out. Because the way the men be doing Aaron, everybody go to hell. Everybody go to hell right now. So this is about Erin, who is the now fake queen because she ate her mother's heart, and she hides out as a boy, and she gets taken to like this elite academy, and she's becomes one of the 7 like top people for training and all this, and she's stuck with these demons and men and stuff. Like, they're horrid. And just, the twists and turns, y'all. I don't want to spoil like the plot twist, but let me tell you, I was angry up until the end. It was a great time. And then lastly, I read Seeing Red by Shon, which is an MMF romance in the Bliss Peak universe, which is outside of Kingstown, if you've read the Kingstown novellas. And it's a retelling of Red Riding Hood. And Red is going up to Bliss Peak to her grandmama Nim's cabin so that she can finish her manuscript and all that. She's having trouble because she's grieving the loss of her twin and all this. And then her neighbors are fine, bro. And she runs up to neighbor's house like wrapped in a towel because she thinks she's being attacked by a bat. And yeah. And so starts their fraught relationship. There's bi awakening. The men are I'll take 2 of each. Okay. That's all I got to say. But they're very sweet. This is like low drama, all of this. This is a little bit of family drama, especially. And there's also like, disability rep as far as like dyslexia and ADHD and all that. So, and grief. And yeah, it was beautiful. I enjoyed it so much. So that wraps it up for March. I hope y'all heard of something that you might want to read. Let me know in the downstairs area. As always, friends, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend about the channel, and I will see you in the next one.